Yes, people. I'm Alam. This is Toronto Hoop Talk, and I'm back again with another live stream today. We have a watch along for Raptors-Pistons. Ooh, got the watch along here. Okay, cool. Now it's muted. Got a watch along for today's Detroit Pistons Raptors Summer League game, Game 3. We're 0-2, looking for this first win. If you've heard any of my other watch alongs or any of my content pertaining to the Summer League team, you'll know that don't look at the team too highly. Not particularly looking forward to the game for the players itself, but I'm looking forward to potentially the team getting a win. I don't want to see this team go 0-4 or 0-5. We're playing Detroit today. Detroit obviously has some high draft picks on their team, so we'll see how we fare. But I am looking forward to again watching the two players that I've been here to watch primarily for all these summer league games, and that's Gradey Dick and Markquis Nowell, two players that have obviously looked like the young players they are, but players that I'm ultimately happy to. I'm happy with where they're at as rookies in their first two games at a level above college basketball. If you're watching this video live, make sure you press the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're watching this game on replay, you're just as appreciated. You also have an opportunity to help the video go far by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I say this a lot. I know I'm annoying about it, but these are forms of engagement that helps channels on YouTube grow. The more engagement that videos get, the further that YouTube pushes the videos to its audience, the more people that get to know about the channel, and obviously the more content I can do. So if you enjoy the content, you have an opportunity to support it. The content is free, but you can pay your rent via the like button. So that's the admin stuff that I always have to get through during the beginning of these live streams. The game hasn't tipped off yet. The players are still warming up. So during these kind of dead periods in the stream where the game isn't going on, this is your opportunity to get questions in the chat. um, if you were here for the last live stream, you saw that the live stream went off the rails. The game wasn't worth watching for the game itself, but we had a lot of fun conversations. So that's how these things go. If the game's compelling, we'll talk about the game primarily. If it's not, then we'll be here talking about whatever the chat dictates. So with where the Raptors are at, obviously there's different subjects that can come up. The Siakam trade is definitely the big one. That's something that I think everybody um, has some level of interest in, just because it would be a pretty big moment for our franchise in terms of, obviously, we're trading away the last uh, piece of the championship team that actually played. We're trading our best player right now. We're, I think, pretty clearly changing the direction of the franchise with a trade. So it's a big moment, regardless of how you feel about Pascal, regardless about how you feel about the roster and what direction we should take. Trading Pascal is a big moment, and that's something that definitely warrants a lot of discussion. I have my opinions about what's going on. I think that independently, trading away Pascal isn't the worst thing, but in the grand, if you try to fit it within the grand scheme of what we've been doing as an organization, it's kind of questionable. It doesn't make sense. I kind of struggle to see the overarching plan. As for looking for like a coherent plan, but as I've said in some other streams, I think that ultimately the Raptors are a little bit caught up with being the smartest people in the room. They're a little bit caught up in some of their past successes and replicating the mindset that they've made roster decisions with in the past. And sometimes when things work out, you kind of have you're a little bit deluded as to why they work out. It's possible to fluke something good. Maybe fluke is putting it harshly, but you don't accomplish something because of what you thought you did to accomplish it. It just happens for other reasons. And yeah, I think it's the case where the Raptors obviously had a lot of success in earlier stages of Masai Ujiri's tenure that I think maybe weren't as closely related to his attitude about winning as maybe he thought they were. So, uh, with that being the case, if you constantly try to chase a future with that older way of looking at things in mind, um, you run the risk of basing your decisions off something that's unproven. And I think the idea of constantly winning, not constantly winning, but constantly prioritizing winning when you don't actually have a roster that's cut out to win. And a part of the reason of that is that you have young talent that needs growth. You run the risk of making these type of mistakes. So I got my boy Rio in here, Rexdale in the building. Good to see you in here. I'm definitely gonna need company to get through this game. I know that for sure. Um, Looking at the starting lineup, same starting lineup as last game. So you got Gradey and Markquis in the backcourt. You got Ron Harper and Gay as the forwards, and Moses Brown as the center. We're tipping off shortly, and we are tipped off right now. Moses Brown wins the tip off to Markquis Nowell. Markquis Nowell bringing the ball up the court. Like I said, I'm gonna try to talk through what I'm seeing on the court every so often so that you guys know what I'm seeing. Gradey gets his shot blocked by Thompson. Rebound by the Raptors. Markquis pick and roll. That's an illegal screen set by Moses Brown. I got a beard. That's good enough company. I see you. I see you. That's a good way to get through a game like this. Who's that courtside? I don't recognize who that is. Those are probably Pistons. But yeah, Pistons with the ball. Markquis with a double team makes Thompson pick up his dribble. Gradey's man took him on and got to the basket and won. So opening basket by Detroit. I'm not overly familiar with these Pistons players the way I thought maybe I would be because they've had a lot of a lot of early picks. I know the Thompson twin, Roden. I don't know who that guy is who just scored, but Pistons off to a 3-0 start. Markquis taking the ball up the court. We got a pick and roll between Markquis and Brown. Kicks to the shooter. Ron Harper from 3 misses the 3. And then I think Moses Brown, the one guy underneath the basket, he did draw a foul. He had good positioning underneath the rim, and a Piston had to foul him to stop him from getting the rebound. But yeah, again, like good pick and roll execution by Markquis Nowell. He did get a decent shot. Just Ron Harper has to make that. But that's been the story of the summer league team so far. Markquis creating and guys bricking. That possession is followed by Markquis kind of not executing a pick and roll as well. Tried to force the pass into Moses Brown, who wasn't there, and a turnover resulted. And that turnover just resulted in Pistons corner 3. So that's 6-0 Pistons now. Moses Brown, the low post, kicks it to Gradey. Gradey, I think he double dribbled. No? Well, they let him get away with it. So that's a easy bucket because of a double dribble. Where's your boy? I forgot his name. Oh, Aiden. He is not available. Mind you, he's in a different time zone. So I think this is a pretty awkward timing for him. But also, if he doesn't want to watch the Raptors Summer League game, I'm not fussed at all. At all. I honestly, again, like if it wasn't about the content, I honestly wouldn't watch these games. I would have watched the first 2 games for sure, because I wanted to see what was good. Oh wow, hell of a transition possession by the Pistons. They got an alley oop to the Thompson twin. Raptors, I think, took a timeout. No, they didn't take a timeout. Markquis coming up the court with the ball around the screen. Kick to Ron Harper. Back to Nowell. Gradey taking somebody off the dribble. Loses control of the ball. Pistons in transition. And one. No, he couldn't make the look. So 2 free throws for the Pistons. Could be 12 or 13-2 to start this game. And to be honest, it's fitting. Detroit definitely looks a lot better than us. I think all of our possessions have just been Markquis and Moses Brown in the pick and roll, and then it's on Markquis to find something out of it. Gradey had a couple bad possessions trying to take people off the dribble, but we know that's not a part of his game, and that's a part of just him trying to do something as a high draft pick. And still haven't put in Cambridge or Kevin. That's what I'm saying. For those of you who weren't at the first watch along, Rio here is pretty familiar with this roster in a way that I'm not. and he was constantly bringing up. I think it's Kevin Obanor and Desmond Cambridge, two players on the Raptors summer league team who haven't got any run. Who Rio definitely has been calling for. We got Gradey inbounding from the baseline. Gay and Brown in a pick and roll. Brown gets the ball, and that should have been an easy dunk, but he didn't quite control the ball as soon as he caught it. Delayed a second, and the guy underneath the rim, I think that was a Thompson twin, was at least able to get in good defensive possession. And I think I don't know if he blocked it or if he just forced a miss. Oh, no, it was a foul. They did call a foul. Got it. Okay, so Moses Brown to the free throw line. Ooh, that form. That form. So bad. But it worked there. So that's our third point of the game. We got 3 points, guys. We got 3 points before 3 minutes into the game. That's good. Hopefully we can score at a higher pace. He misses the second free throw, so it's still 12-3. Three there by Detroit. So now it's 15-3. Markquis again going the other way on a pick on Moses Brown's screen. Ron Harper with the ball, tries to take somebody off the dribble. Can't beat somebody. Markquis gets the ball. Oh, I saw that correctly, right? He kind of a hesitation, fake move, got the defender to blow by, took a three, and then turned around. But then he missed. But Gay got the rebound underneath the rim, and he's shooting free throws there. But I saw that correctly, right? Nowell turned around on the three, or did he turn around to like complain to the referee? I don't know what that was, but that honestly wasn't close either. So if he was turning around like Steph Curry there, that was not even close. Not even close, my guy. 2 free throws for Gay. Yeah, Rio, you saw that, right? Uh-oh. Watch out, Gradey. The Thompson twin is after the ball. Markquis gets the three, finds Harper open from three, misses the three. Oh my goodness. What is Ron Harper shooting from three in summer league? It feels like he's shooting a ridiculously low percentage. And also, again, like a point that I brought up during the last watch long is Markquis, being the creator that he is making our shooters look worse, because they're not getting an average amount of good looks. They're getting a high amount of good looks because Markquis is doing a good job of creating, and it's making them look worse because they keep bricking their shots. He turned. Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw that. Again, I'd like to see a replay or to get more context there. Did he turn to complain to the ref or something? Because he did. It did look like he almost got fouled, like before the shot, so he could have turned to complain. But yeah, he didn't come close to making that shot. That would be hilarious though if he was trying to actually shoot that and like taunt down 13 in a summer league game. I told you about Ron. That's a fact. That's a fact. Rio has been pretty clear about how he feels about Ron, and I definitely feel the same way. He's a frustrating player to watch. I don't really see what the vision is with Ron Harper. Gradey made a shot, got to the rim, easy layup. Oh, they're calling a foul on Nowell underneath the basket. He was wrestling for a steal, and they're calling a foul on him. I think it's like 18-7 now. It's going to commercial. Really shaky start for the Raptors. Yeah, we're going to commercial. So guys, 9 people in here. If you're in here, thank you for being here. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you're subbed to the channel. If you enjoy the content, that's the main ways that you can help the content grow. Those are the type of engagement that YouTube's algorithm picks out to know what videos to push to the wider YouTube audience. So that's how channels get bigger, basically. So if you like the content, make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe on the channel. Going to be doing a lot more, obviously, as many watch longs as I can during the season. So yeah, this is a small taste of what's going to be happening throughout the season next year. Hasn't been fun. at all these summer league watch alongs, but we're powering through it. If you're new here, these watch alongs kind of just, it's a flow based thing. So if the game is compelling and talking about the game is just naturally what the flow is, we go with that. But if the chat takes the conversation somewhere else, it goes somewhere else. Like if you were here for the second watch along, the second half, uh we got to talking about a whole lot of nonsense, but the conversation was better than the game. So that's the most important thing. Goodness, we're not even at the end of the first. Or maybe, yeah, I don't think so. We're not at the end of the first. This game is already as bad as, frankly, the whole summer league has been so far, aside from the first half of the first quarter. Um, the first half of the first quarter, the first game. So that small 5 minutes looked decent. And then Moses Brown came out. Moses Wright showed up and just wasn't playing the center position in a commanding way. And things were kind of never the same. So, uh, yeah, not really the fun summer league games that I've grown accustomed to as a Raptors fan. I remember being exciting to watch Valanciunas in summer league, and that at least like being worthwhile, and the team was okay. And same thing with Terrence Ross and Scotty Barnes, and it's not Grady's fault and Markquis' fault, but the rest of this team is just genuinely like so bad. It's not even like young players with potential that could grow in the G League system and whatnot, or could benefit from a two-way. You're talking about guys who are in their mid 20s who've been playing in Europe and um like aren't young, inexperienced players, but it's still just such a rough watch. We're back. Oh my god, we were just halfway through the first. People, there's still 5 minutes left. There's still 35 minutes left of this. All right. Oh, nice. Okay, so turnover, Detroit in transition, pull up three in transition. He misses. Gay with the rebound. A player got subbed in, so Ron Harper is off for Nemhard. RJ Nemhard, no relation to Andrew. Although I would love seeing Andrew Nemhard in a Raptors uniform. Uh, Writers are saying that the Pacers aren't interested though. So I mean, if the Pacers aren't interested in trading Andrew Nemhard, like truly, what do they think they're going to part with to get Pascal Siakam? Right? He was doing good and then just said, fuck it, Moses. Facts. Facts. That's how it went. Destroying Monty Williams on the screen. That is a rich individual right there. That is a well off individual. Um, I'm happy that happened for him. I think his other plan would have been to sit out a year, but instead of sitting out and making no monies, the guy is gonna be coaching a basketball team and have the potential to earn 100 mil. So good for him, man. Detroit misses. Markquis taking the ball up. Nemhard tries to get to the basket. Tough shot, makes it and one. That was decent there. That was decent. But yeah, man, Nemhard in a Raptors uniform. If only. If only. But yeah, people, I'm going to try to get some Atlanta Hawks fans on the stream to talk about the Pascal Siakam situation, kind of hear about where they're at with it in terms of like how highly they look at Pascal Siakam and what they'd be interested in trading. But then also, I think it would be good for us to get an opportunity to talk to uh, a Hawks fan about their players. So, um, like, there's a lot of their players that obviously I've heard of and I've seen play here and there, but I haven't watched them play night in, night out the way Hawks fans would. So it would be nice to hear uh their thoughts on some of their players. I mean, I'd be interested to hear about what they think of a player like AJ Griffin, what they think of a player like Buffkin from what they've seen so far in summer league. Jalen Johnson, all the younger players. Gradey to the basket and one. That was a tough finish through contact. Hey, we're down 5 now. That's cool. That's nice. Andrew Nemhard. Yeah, so Andrew Nemhard is the Pacers player. RJ is the Raptors player. But yeah, I'm looking at it like, yeah, it would be nice to see Andrew Nemhard in a Raptors uniform because I think he's a good up and coming player. And allegedly, that's somebody that the the Pacers don't want to trade in a Pascal Siakam trade, according to some writers. Obviously, you don't know if this stuff is reliable. But yeah, Pascal's not going nowhere, bro. I'll be real. That's not what it looks like. That's not what it looks like. It's looking a lot like Pascal's going to get traded. And I'll say this, right? They talk about how Pascal's not at the summer league, and I do think that that's not entirely nothing. Of course, though, like there are players that aren't at summer league for other reasons. There are valid reasons to not be at summer league. I think in the midst of everything that's gone on, the way most of the Raptors are at summer league, that might not be nothing. But here's the thing: the bigger thing for me is the Gary Trent Jr. contract extension, because they may want to tweak the structure of the extension based on what kind of trade we make, what kind of talent we acquire, and what the long-term salary outlook of those players looks like. So if they want to front load the extension, if they want to back load the extension, that's probably something that's going to get resolved once the Siakam situation gets resolved, whatever that is, if he gets traded or not. Um, but yeah, what was I going to say? Totally lost my train of thought. I saw this comment. I lost my train of thought. It wouldn't make sense. Oh, I agree. I agree. So I did a stream with one of the other guys that's on this channel from time to time, Kenyon. I did a stream with him where we talked about the Siakam trade rumors, and then it evolved into a conversation about the front office as a whole and just generally our direction as a franchise. And yeah, I agree. It doesn't make sense, but it looks like it's going to happen. So we'll see if it actually does happen. But honestly, I look at something like the Gary Trent Jr. extension. I've never seen this before, where it's announced that a contract agreement has been reached, but we've got no details in a week and a half now. Because mind you, news of that extension broke June 30th. It's now July 12th, and we have no idea what those numbers look like. That's not normal, right? So, and I think the only reason is that depending on the kind of trades they make and what this kind of salaries they take on in a trade, that'll depend how they want to structure his extension. So they are working on something, and the only thing we're hearing about is Pascal, and we're hearing about it pretty aggressively. So I think that would be it. They finally put in Kevin. Okay, let's go. Rio's guy is here. We're finally gonna get a chance to look at him and see if Rio knows what he's talking about. Um, but yeah, hopefully we can see Cambridge and he can drop some prayer hands again. Raptors down 5, 23-18. Detroit shooting from the corner. A miss. I think that's I think bro, I think that no, hold on. What number is Obanor? Oh, that was the Kansas center who messed the rebound up. Now Pascal staying. Bro, we'll see. We'll see. Rio, go check out this stream. I cut it up. I cut the part about Siakam up. It's about an hour long. Check it out with me and Kenyon talking about it. It doesn't make sense for him to get traded, but it does seem like basically there's an issue with there's an issue with his next contract extension. He only has a year left. They're not what's it called, on the same they're not eye to eye about how much they over what his next contract's going to look like. So that's putting them in a position where they think trading him might be the best thing to do. Zero, you forgot. Yeah, man, I have to have a roster in front of me so that I can look at guys on the team who I don't know offhand. But yeah, I checked real quick and he is number 0. Markquis mid-range pull up, misses the shot. These are Obanor's first minutes, right? If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there's a Dennis Schroeder interview right now that's going on that I can't hear. So if you can hear it and he's saying anything worth talking about, you can drop quotes in the chat so that I can be made aware of what's being said. Oh, Ron Harper's back. And he dribbles the ball off his own foot out of bounds. Pistons ball. Well, either they called something or it hit a piston on its way out. No, it looks like they called a foul somewhere. So hey, maybe it's not his fault. I believe the Raptors are on a 11-5 run, so you do have to give them credit where credit's due. They fought back to at least make this a competitive game. They didn't just lay down. They've clawed back into this game. They just had a pretty wasteful possession, but it's like that. We're dealing with a lineup with summer league bench players now, so you can expect some sloppiness. Somebody got a steal off a Thompson twin. Ron Harper going up in transition, misses. Obanor with the rebound. Hampton Nemhard basically took it out of his hands. Obanor from three. Oh, he missed. Oh, I was so ready to get gassed. It would have been so sick if he made that for Rio's sake. Just talking about people he knows and how he feels being a Raptor. Oh, we're talking about Pascal? Yeah. Well, Pascal wants to be a Raptor. The issue is he wants to be paid a max. And the Raptors seem to not be willing. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, sorry, you're talking about Schroeder here. This is the Schroeder interview. Just talking about people he knows and how he feels being a Raptor. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. He said some stuff earlier about that, about how Toronto appeals to him as a city. Uh, in that it's an international city and the people he knows on the coaching staff. So that's good to see. That's good to see that at least he's excited to be here. Ooh. McCormack had low post positioning, but then a Pistons player knocked the ball out of his hands. So Raptors ball. So it was a foul, and McCormack is shooting free throws. He missed the first one. So this is the Kansas center that was a teammate with Gradey for one season. See if they had Kevin played the last game. I know he feels the game. I mean, hey man, I think he hasn't done much so far in this game, but he hasn't made any mistakes yet. He just missed a three, but then again, so does everyone else on this team. 2.8 seconds left. I believe the Raptors just turned it over. So the Pistons will get the last shot of the first quarter. Pistons coming up the court. Had to just jack up a three at the end because the first guy had to get the ball out of his hands for some reason. So it's an 8-point game, 26-18. The first quarter is in the books. You got to credit the Raptors for having some fight and not just laying down. I think they made it a 4-point game at some point. That was the smallest lead, or the smallest the lead got after the Pistons initially went up double digits in like the first 3 minutes. Not even. I think they were up like 13-2 or 13-3, 2.5 minutes into this game. Most of this Raptors team has had a pretty consistent level of performance thus far. Aside from Gradey and Markquis, players are middling at best. A lot of inconsistency, not inconsistency, a lot of just like subpar shooting, a lot of lack of like lack of roles. You can't even see what a player's what's the term I'm looking for? Like You can't see discernible skills from a lot of these players. You can't look at a player and say, that's a rebounder, that's a spot up shooter, that's a playmaker, that's an awesome defensive player, that's a guy who you can switch on to people. You can't see discernible skills on a lot of the players on this summer league team. So it's hard to even understand what should be done with this team and a lot of these players. I look at Gradey and I know what to expect from Gradey. I know what to expect um, working hard off the ball, running around, hitting a good decent amount of shots, being able to finish looks around the basket when the looks open themselves up for him. I know what to expect from Markquis. Decent level of shot making. Uh, gonna create for others. Gonna operate out of the pick and roll at a high level. Everybody else, I don't really know what to expect. Rio, what is this a reaction to? Pistons starting the second quarter with the ball. They just inbounds the ball. The last transaction, the last possession, or what are we saying? Gradey in transition tries to back a player down, gets nothing out of it because he's not strong enough. Actually had the right idea making a pass. So he made a pass slightly behind the player. It caused a transition possession for Detroit, who had a 2-on-1 where they tried to throw a lob over number 37 on the Raptors, who was Morsel, I think. Yeah, but he actually did a phenomenal job of jumping up and catching the lob for the alley oop, which looked awesome. But then I think he jumped. I think he just turned it all over immediately afterwards. No, he didn't. Something else happened. I can't really see what the outcome was there. Like I don't have the audio, so I'm not exactly sure. But afterwards, the Raptors wasted the possession afterwards. So yeah. Yeah, it was a nice block. It was a definitely I don't know if that counts as a block or a steal. I think it's a steal, but that was awesome. So yeah, Morsel, number 37, definitely doing a good job on that possession. Break and play. They're interviewing somebody. Okay, they're reviewing something, and this is probably the times that I'm impacted the most not having the audio on. I should find a way to get another headphone for game audio, and then I have this headphone for streaming audio in case somebody hops on the stream. But yeah, I can't hear what's going on. I can't hear the interview or what they're reviewing. So if there's anything worth talking about, make sure you put it in the chat. If you're watching with the audio, Raptors down 8, 9:20 to go in the second. I'm at a point where I I wouldn't mind if in game 4, game 5 that Markquis and Gradey get like a good 32 minutes each. May as well get them the minutes. With the way the Pistons players are walking, I think it's their ball. They're not saying nothing really. Oh, I think they're mainly they were reviewing the Thompson twins stepping on Grady's foot after he let a shot go. They gave him 3 free throws, so I guess they called a foul. But are there no other people? Why are there no other people there? I'm a little bit confused about that. Like, are these technical free throws? Are the Raptors gonna get the ball after this? Yeah, they are. So that was 3 free throws and the ball. That was a big foul. So we're back in the game, I guess. 5 point game. Gradey. Obenor from three. Obenor misses. Moses Brown with the rebound. Gets the ball back up. Misses. Detroit back out in transition. That was a chance. That was a chance to make it a 2 or a 3 point game. Oh, what a block by Ron Harper. Detroit the other way goes for a corner three. Ron Harper blocks it. Unfortunately, blocks it out of bounds. So Detroit keeps the ball. New NBA rules, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, I thought that if it's a typical shooting foul, 3 shots and you keep playing, but they gave him 3 shots in the ball. I'll take it. Whatever. We didn't do anything with the next possession, anyways. Detroit turns the ball over, so the Raptors have another chance to make it a 1 possession game. These are big possessions. Ron Harper Jr. taking the ball up the court. Gradey going around to Moses Brown's screen. Ball goes to Moses Brown. Dribble handoff with Ron Harper. Goes to the basket. Misses the shot. Moses Brown put back. All right, 3 point game. All right. Contested mid-range pull-up by the Pistons. Morsel with the rebound goes up the court. Finds Moses Brown under the rim, who drops the ball. It would have been an open dunks, but the dropping the ball let a defender get back to Moses Brown, but he made the shot over him anyways. So people, it's a 1 point game. The Raptors, if they can get a stop, have an opportunity to take a lead. I would have never. Just as I say that, Thompson gets right around Moses Brown, gets a free look at the basket and dunks it down. Back to a 3 point game. People, I'm just gassed at the idea of us being in this game. You definitely have to credit the Raptors for showing some fight, because this looked over in the first 3 minutes. Gradey with a mid-range shot falling to the side. You've seen a couple of shots that he made this summer league where he's very off balance. He clearly has that in his toolbox. He can make those jumpers off balance, and he did. So it's a 1 point game again. I believe the foul was called on the Raptors, and Detroit will be inbounding the ball. Yep, Detroit inbounds the ball. Oh, I don't think that was a foul. So Detroit ran a pick and roll action. The point guard tried to thread it to the center, the roller, and couldn't do it. Ball was kind of bounced around. It looked like Obenor was going to get a steal, but then they called it a foul. Mid-range pull-up from Detroit. Miss. Raptors with the ball and a chance to take a lead. Gradey up the court, going around the screen. Pull-up from three, and he gets to make a Gradey Dick 3, giving us a 2 point lead, people. We are back in business. Then a really bad defensive possession gives the Pistons a 3, but they miss. Gradey with the rebound up the court. Ron Harper dribbles into a corner. Gradey, deep 3. Oh, just misses it. All right. People, entertainment. We got entertainment. Another sloppy defensive possession. Pistons 3. They take the lead right back. The burst of energy was short-lived. I mean, that's probably the biggest jumper that Gradey took at that 3 that gave the Raptors lead. That shot was probably the biggest 3 or the biggest shot he's taken, and he made it. And then he followed it with a heat check. That 3 was deep. That was a deep 3. It was a catch and shoot. He was a few foot behind the line. He just made, I think, 2 shots in a row at that point. So he just jacked it up and it missed, unfortunately. But it is what it is. I don't hate him being confident in that moment and thinking he can make that shot. He's had a few moments in the summer league where his confidence is kind of just exuded. Like you can just feel that he believes in himself. Hasn't always worked out for him, but you live with that. You don't want that confidence to go away. You want to, if you're going to have to err on the side of something, you want to err on the side of too much confidence than not enough, especially when you're dealing with shooters. So I'll say that for sure. I'm pretty happy with that part of Grady Dick's skill set. And yeah, people, I think we're stuck two. I forget exactly what the score is, but we're stuck two. It's a commercial break. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Like I always say, if you're in here, make sure you're pressing the like button. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Yeah, these are way things that help the channel grow, and I'll be doing plenty of these going forward. So we've had between 6 and 11 people in here for most of the stream. I'd love for during the regular season if there's between 50 and 61 people in the stream. They're showing replays of some of these shots that Grady's shot and made. Do you think Grady can be clutch? I mean, here's the thing. He has I think he has the intangible things that clutch players have. One being confidence, two being an even keeled kind of a guy and just like being able to be cool in those big moments. But yeah, between those two things, I think he has the ability. In terms of shot making, he seems to be a shot maker, but it's just one of those things where you can't really tell until you don't really know until you know. That's kind of what I mean to say. Uh, we won't know if he's clutch or not until we see him in those moments. I think it's a 1 point lead. So we have Ola from Pepe Riveros. Hola, Pepe. I'm just curious, where are you from? Are you a Raptors fan? These are this is popping up like this. I don't know if these are supposed to be emojis or whatnot, but yeah. This is what I'm saying. Hit the like button, people. Raptors 1 point lead. I think we got a foul call, and one of the Raptors will be shooting free throws. It'll be Gay shooting free throws. Chance to extend the lead from a 1 point lead to a potentially 3 point lead. And potentially a win against Detroit, which has not been a common thing for us as an organization in the last few years. Detroit finds a way to hand us L's somehow, some way. It's a constant. Misses the second free throw, but Moses Brown had excellent rebounding positioning after the missed free throw, and he draws the foul. That's a few times now that's happened. I think I can think of three off the top of my head. This is a guy who definitely works hard to get rebounds. He has the size, he has the frame, and he uses it to its full potential. Moses Brown's definitely a guy who does his work rebounding. Gradey off the screen, another three. People, we have a 5 point lead. Again, Gradey really aggressive with looking for his shot today, and he's made shots at a high enough rate to warrant that type of aggression. Markquis back on the court, so now hopefully we can get some other kinds of buckets. I feel like Grady's been carrying us for about 3 minutes now. Ooh. I feel like we had a good defensive possession there going. The Detroit Pistons player pick and roll. He kind of dribbled into a tough spot, kind of dribbled himself into a bit of a corner, and then he just threw the ball off a Raptor, and the ball went out of bounds. Floater by Detroit, cut the lead down to 3. Muhammadu Gay to the basket and one. Wow. That's a couple possessions now where I think he's played well. Muhammadu Gay definitely looking like a player that we should have on the 905 next year. That's what I've seen from him so far. He's a traits player that I think is showing more and more in the way of at least there being potential with his ability. Now, he's not all that young. He's 25, but he is a player that's only 1 year out of being in college. He's a Vision 6'9" player. He's, I believe, like 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan. Unpolished games, so Yeah, Muhammadu Gay. Got to see him on the 905 because that was a good look there. That I haven't seen a lot of that, but I've seen. I think 2 3 possessions ago in transition he got to the rim. I think I missed another Gradey shot. No, I didn't. Yeah, no, I didn't. They just were showing a replay. Or not a replay, but they just cut to him as if he made a shot, but he didn't. Markquis with the ball goes around the screen, kicks it to Gay in the corner, makes the three. Just like as I'm saying, Muhammadu Gay showing some potential with his skills. He's definitely made shots today at a higher rate than I've seen him make in the first 2 games. Detroit corner three. Gay lost his man a little bit, just gave him a little bit of space, and he took it, made that shot. So the lead is up to 6. Nemhard to the basket, gets a tough look, made that with the contact. That should have been an and one, but it wasn't. Pistons swinging the ball around. Oh, that's an illegal screen. Yep, Markquis Nowell caught up in an illegal screen, so he's on the ground, but he got us the ball back. That's a turnover by Detroit. We have the ball up 8. People, this has been an awesome second quarter. This has definitely been the best quarter of the Raptors Summer League so far. I don't know exactly what the score differential is, but we've definitely played the best, all things considered. Gradey's had his best day of shot making. Almost didn't do this game for a watch along, but I'm really glad I did now because I'm actually enjoying the game now. Gradey coming around a screen, drawing a lot of attention. Markquis goes to the takes his man, goes to the basket, misses. McCormack with the rebound, finds Gay under the basket, and that's a dunk. We are up 10. People, I think we were down 13-2. Now we're up 46-36. That would be a what? 44-23 run or something like that. Oh, come on. Piston center gets caught up at the on the baseline. 2 Raptors around him. Somehow they call a foul on the other guy. Scoring leaders. Gradey has 18. Gay has 11. So Gradey and Gay, 29 points combined. Having a day. Pistons player gets to the basket. Gets the tough look. Cuts the lead to 8. 3 minutes to go, people. We're almost at halftime in pretty decent shape. Markquis finds Gradey. Ooh. He tried to take on the Thompson twin. He tries to take on a Thompson twin. Thompson twin knocks the ball out. Gradey, catch and shoot. Quick trigger. Misses the shot. That was a quick release. Caught it and it was gone. Had very little space, couldn't get it to go, but he's clearly hunting his shot aggressively. Detroit misses. Gradey gets the ball up the court, kicks to Gay, pump fake, gets the dunk. This is the Gradey and Gay show in the second quarter. Lead restored to 10. So Gay is 4 for 4, 13 points. Hey, bro, Rio, I don't know, but yeah. Muhammadu Gay. Hey, he's definitely showing that he's more than just an athlete. Obviously, you have to do these things at a more consistent level to actually get meaningful looks in the NBA, and there's a long way to go in that regard. But he's a player that has the natural like body type that a lot of teams are looking for in the NBA nowadays. Long wingspan, athletic guy. As with all those players that aren't top 5 picks, very unpolished offensive skill set, but he does have more in his game than I thought in terms of shot making and getting to the basket. He's done a good job of beating his man off the dribble today, and he's made a 3. I think he's only made 1 perimeter shot, but he's only taken 1 as well, so that's good for him. Hey man, the guy looks like he wants that 15th spot. I'll say that. He's playing like he wants that 15th spot. Somebody's got to get it. it's probably going to be a competition. But the reality is the performance he's had in this game so far, it's better than I've seen Ron Harper play at any point. It's better than I've seen um Wieskamp by far better than I've seen him play. If you look at that 15th man, if you had to give these guys a look, Moses Brown probably gets a look. Gay probably gets a look. Trying to think who else. But yeah, those two guys probably have to get a look. I think ideally we probably either leave that spot empty in case we want to make a trade, or obviously in the trade we do make with for whatever trade that we do make, potentially with Siakam, potentially with OG, that could get us a 15th player on the roster. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, we also have to give a second two-way deal. Markquis is the only guy we have on a two-way deal, so that's got to get resolved as well. There are opportunities for people. Missed 3 by Detroit. So it appears like Detroit kind of also struggles with just shot making the way it feels like we do, because aside from really easy looks, it doesn't really ever look like they're making shots otherwise. I think that's Jarrett Jack, who's coaching the Pistons, ex-Raptor, for those of you who are fans during that time. Nembhard at the free throw line, a chance to make it a 12-point game. Makes the first free throw. RJ Nembhard, people, no relation to Andrew. Rookie out of TCU. Pick and roll look. It was a good find by the Thompson twin, but the roller went up and under for no reason and got a shot blocked. Oh, that's a foul. Raptors threw it to McCormack in the low post, and he was fouled. The camera's back on the Pistons players. They don't look so gassed anymore. I believe that's Ivy, Isaiah Stewart, and James Wiseman, I think. I'm not sure. But yeah, McCormack at the free throw line. He was 1 for 2 earlier in the game. Makes his first shot, extends the lead to 13. I'll tell you what, people, when we were down 13-2, I did not envision that we would potentially have a double-digit lead at halftime, but it's looking like that might be the case. You got to give credit to the Raptors. They played their best quarter of Summer League by far in the second quarter. We saw Gradey have his highest level of shot making by far in the second quarter. Mohamadou Gay, his best quarter by far in Summer League in the second quarter. A lot of people definitely stepped up to give the Raptors a double-digit lead in the second quarter. I've been fairly critical of how poor this team has played and how much worse than the other team we've looked so far. But to be fair, you got to give the Raptors credit for what they've done in this second quarter. Like I said, they started really slow. They were down 13-2, but they made it a game in the second quarter. Raptors up 14, 1 minute to go. Thompson with Gradey guarding him. I'll tell you what, I see why Thompson was a high pick, because in terms of just like his size and his athleticism, and there's a pretty blank slate with him. Like, obviously being so young, he could develop into a better player, but his game is very unpolished right now. Like Gradey did a good job of sticking in front of him. He couldn't get anything on that possession initially. He missed, I think, about 2-3 shots. Ultimately, no Raptor could get the rebound. McCormack and Gradey were there. Now that could have been an up and down, but it wasn't. So yeah, McCormack and Gradey, none of them could get a rebound. Honestly, that could have been a second offensive foul with an elbow to Gradey's throat, but he missed the free throw. It's not an and one. 12-point game, 42 seconds. Markquis coming up the court. Screen set by McCormack. Oh, they called it an illegal screen. It was close. When I saw it initially, I thought it was close, but I guess they're calling it. It's whatever. From what I saw though on that pick and roll, it looked more like there's just no cohesion between Noel and McCormack there. Like pick and rolls are about timing and chemistry, and there's just none there, and that's nobody's fault really because in summer league I think Markquis said in an interview like yesterday that like, look, we've been together for 5 days. None of us really know each other like that. Gradey with a steal, possession, passed it to Noel, got the ball back, missed the look, but I think that was Ron Harper under the rim that got the shot. So people were up 14. Last possession of the second quarter. Detroit has the ball. Osir Thompson, mid-range pull-up, makes the shot. 12-point game, 2.9 to go. Gradey with a half-court shot. Yep, misses it. So people, we're at halftime, 12-point game, 54-42. Um, we have a little bit here now where we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk. We can talk about the first half. We can talk about Pascal Siakam. We could talk about anything Raptors related. You guys who are watching live, feel free to get your thoughts, comments, questions in the chat right now. I'm gonna go off the stream just for like a couple minutes to get my laptop charger. But yeah, just feel free to get your comments, questions, anything in the chat. And then when I'm back with my laptop charger, I'll keep the conversation going. So just give me a minute, people. All right, I'm back with my laptop charger, so we will not randomly die when on stream. Yeah, I saw them interviewing Gradey at half. Well, not interviewing him, but playing a Gradey interview at halftime. So, if there's anything he said that's worth talking about, you guys can put it in the chat. Um, as far as the first half went, like I said, story of 2 quarters. Got to give the Raptors credit for their second quarter. That's unlike anything I've seen from them so far in summer league. Um, Happy for them though. Obviously, like you got coaches and players that are working hard. So to see them really have no chance in what it felt like 8 quarters of basketball that they were the second best team on the court. That's obviously nothing it's something you don't want to see. So to see them play really well in the second quarter, it's good for them. I hope we can finish strong in the second half because it would be very Raptors like to have that kind of strong showing in a quarter, get a lead in the first half, and then not play well in the second half. So hopefully that's not what happens. Hopefully we finish strong. Hopefully we get a W under our belt. I think having 2 losses under the belt, we're out of contention for the final 4 in summer league, but we're gonna get a consolation 5th game this weekend anyways. If the game is on Sunday, I won't be doing a watch long. If the game's on Saturday, I will. Willow Webb says go Pistons. Hey man, it looked like a strong first quarter for you guys, and then it looked like a really, really bad second quarter. If you're a Pistons fan, I'm sure you're pretty used to in these last few years getting W's on the Raptors, but so far it doesn't look too good for you guys. I like what I've seen from the Thompson twin that you guys have in terms of just like I had never seen him before at the overtime elite ever. And I saw him for the first time today in extended minutes, and I see why he's drafted high. He's an athlete. He's got the body type that teams are looking for. And yeah, his skills will be polished as time goes on. Obviously, you guys have Monty Williams, so you guys are in good hands coaching wise. Probably some of the best coaching you guys have had in a long time. So I wouldn't be too mad if I was a Detroit Pistons fan, but all things considered, um, probably not looking at the playoffs again this year. So that drought will end at some point, I'm sure. Second half coming up, people. If you guys have predictions for what's gonna happen, if you guys have score predictions, um, maybe we can do that during watch longs at halftime. People can put their score predictions for the final, the final score. If somebody gets it right, I could give something to someone. I could figure that out. I don't have anything with me right now, but if you guys have score predictions you want to put in the group chat, in the live chat, why not? Let's go Raps. But yeah, man, ultimately that's what we're here for. You know, we're here for the Raptors. We're here for the Raptors summer league team. Um, we're looking good. We're in a good spot. We're up double digits. It didn't look like the Raptors were going to be even in this game for the first few minutes. First 5 minutes of the game, I was not having a good time. I think we were down 13-2 at some point, and then later we were down like 18-7. It looked like we were going to get blown out, kind of like the second game, and then we had a hell of a second quarter. Gradey made a lot of shots. He has 18 points on 6 for 12 shooting. Mohamedou Gay did a good job getting his baskets. He's I think he's 11 points, 4 for 4 from the field. Rio says 87-82 Raps. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. So you're predicting Detroit makes it a game. You're predicting a 5-point game. If I had to make a prediction, I would go Raptors 91, Pistons 82. That's what I'm going with. So I'll put it in here so it stays. Raps 91. Pistons 82. All right, so that's in there. We have 2 predictions. We'll see who's more right or if either of us are right at all. Moses Brown at the free throw line with his janky form makes the first shot. 13-point game. Whenever they show that free throw form from the front, it looks so bad. From the side, it's not as bad, but from the front, the hitch is a lot more pronounced, and it's just disgusting. It's really bad. So it looks like a Pistons player was fouled. So somebody's going to the free throw line. Yeah, Thompson's going to the free throw line. Cameras panning back to the Pistons players who were at the game. I think Marvin Bagley joined them. Thomas brothers are good. Yeah, the Thompson brothers, I think the two twins that got drafted. Yeah, no, they like I like what I've seen from this one. I'm sure the other one's similar. I mean, they're literally twins. So yeah, good to see. Good to see for them, man. The overtime elite, such a random league, but players are getting drafted from there now, and they're pretty decent. 10-point game after that last possession. Markquis pull up three, misses it. Sarah Thompson in transition, sloppy pass. Pistons, couple sloppy moments, but they kept the ball, and then somebody made a really good cut. He just couldn't finish at the basket. Gradey in transition to Ron Harper, who looked like he was going to get blocked, but somehow he got the shot off. And when you see that happen, like the shot normally doesn't go in, and it didn't. So it went off a Pistons player out of bounds, so we keep the ball, but sloppy transition possession. And as soon as I saw the ball get to Ron Harper's hands, I kind of knew that the possession wasn't going to end well. And yeah, that's ultimately what happened. Gradey mid-range pull-up, and it falls. 12-point game. Like I said, people, by far the best Gradey shooting the game. He's looking for a shot. He's getting it at a decent enough volume, and he's hitting his shots at a decent enough rate. So very happy with his performance from today. Markquis going around to Moses Brown's screen, kicks it to the shooter in the corner. That's Ron Harper, and that's an air ball. This is what it is, man. With Ron Harper, when he gets the ball, I just kind of assume bad things are going to happen. Detroit wastes their possession. Markquis behind the back to Moses Brown, who gets a dunk. What a play. What a play. That was in traffic too. That wasn't a easy behind the back pass where there's tons of space. That was in traffic. That is Mr. New York City behavior right there. That was bold. Gradey gets back cut. He rebounds decently well. I think the Thompson twin traveled. Been saying bench him. Yeah, Rio's been leading the campaign against Ron Harper Jr. people, and leading the campaign for Desmond Cambridge and Kevin Obanor. Cool to see Jarrett Jack on the bench, though. I like Jarrett Jack as a Raptor. Markquis tries to find Moses Brown when the pick and roll. Was just a little late with the pass, caused a turnover. Detroit with the ball. Pull up three, misses badly. Ron Harper Jr. with the ball, gets it to Markquis, dribbling up the court. Oh, finds Moses Brown. That was a difficult pass, but Moses Brown wasn't really in a position to do anything with it. He was a little far from the basket, and his momentum was taking him away from the basket as well. So that forced a turnover. Detroit wastes their possession. Raptors get the ball back. Still up 14. Markquis with the ball. Goes the other way on the screen. Up and under at the rim. Gets the layup. Good little creative moment. Obviously, he's going around the screen 90% of the time. So the one time he goes the other way, gets an easy basket. He didn't have to go up and under because no Pistons player recovered well enough to even get close to his shot, but he did anyways, and he got the shot to fall. Pistons player tries to shoot over Moses Brown, and he makes it. Tough shot, heavily contested shot. Gradey coming around two screens. He's guarded well by somebody. Markquis goes around to Moses Brown's screen, snakes the other way, passes it to Moses Brown, who finishes at the basket. Raptors up 16 people. This might be a blowout. Might be a blowout. I did not expect that. $63-47. Commercial break, people. This game, I don't know why they have Jack audio not talking on the commentary. Wait, who did they have? They have Jarrett Jack's audio? Huh. Oh, they have his audio and they're not talking to him, like interviewing him. Yeah, that's a wasted opportunity. I'm sure hearing from Jarrett Jack would be better than hearing from the commentators. Breakage in play. If you guys have any questions, make sure you get those in the chat. If you guys have any comments about the game, anything else Raptors related, lots of breakages in the play that we can have these conversations. So yeah, Rio says that is what's going on. Yeah, man, wasted opportunity. Wasted opportunity. I'm sure people aren't here for the commentators. They're here for the interviews because during summer league they interview a lot of guys. And Jarrett Jack would have been a cool opportunity. But yeah, I mean, really happy. We're up 16. I did not see that coming. Gradey's played phenomenal in a way that I think people wanted to see because I think in the other ways that he could play well, people aren't going to really respect the same way as shot making. He's making his shots today. And even the degree of difficulty on some of these shots, you're seeing pull-ups from three. I saw a deep three. I saw a falling to the side mid-range shot. Good degree of difficulty on these shots, and he's making them at a high enough efficiency for it to be worth it. Really aggressive in hunting his shot, but Markquis just got switched on to the Thompson twin, and he didn't get cooked, so that's good. Pistons get a 3 out of it, so the lead's cut to 13. Oh, lob from Markquis to Mahamadou Gay. 65-50, 15-point lead again. Mahamadou Gay, phenomenal game today from him as well. Markquis, he's really pulling out some fancy passes from his bag of tricks so far in this third. We had the awesome behind the back pass to Moses Brown in transition, and then that lob to Mahamadou Gay all the way from behind the 3-point line. So, man, he's playing well. He's really showing his passing ability. His court vision's phenomenal. His basketball IQ in terms of knowing the right pass is great, and then his like flashiness with the passes in certain moments is really nice to see as well. Pistons turn it over. Hampton in transition gets to the basket, makes it. Hampton as well. Hampton's played decent. He's playing like a guy. Like again, I said earlier that a lot of these players don't have a demonstrated skill set. But Hampton's kind of shown his skill set today. He's a driver. Like he can get to the basket and finish at a decently high rate. And he's done that well today. Pistons make a shot. Ooh, Hampton, Nemhard. Oh, did I say RJ Hampton before? I meant RJ Nemhard. That's the guy I was talking about as being a good driver. Markquis Nowell makes he shoots a three almost like a floater and he misses, which makes sense because that's a pretty unorthodox way to shoot a basketball from that far out. Ron Harper Jr. called with a foul. So the Pistons will shoot free throws. 14-point game. 3:40 left in the third. Um, the third quarter has been it's been obviously not as good as the second quarter where the Raptors opened up a double-digit lead, but it's been steady. They've held on to the lead. They've had their good moments. Marquise's passing is really a joy to watch, for lack of a better term. Um, Mohamed Gay is doing his job, steady player. RJ Nemhard, steady player. And then Gradey, the shooting show that he's put on today has been awesome. He's finally having his more like highlight-ish game that I think the average viewer is going to enjoy more than people who are just going to who are going to enjoy the fact that he's playing hard off the ball and he's making decently good decisions and he's not completely out of it defensively. That's one thing that definitely needs to be talked about with Gradey is that defensively he was talked about like he was a weakness and he was somebody that's going to be picked on, which still might be the case at the NBA level, but at the summer league level, that hasn't been the case. Um, Raptors waste their possession. I forget. I didn't quite see who it was, but somebody missed. Detroit goes the other way, gets an easy layup. Lead cut down to 10. Uh, Nemhard gets the screen from McCormack. Oh, that's a difficult shot that he just took. McCormack, the roller, tried a little up and under, but he doesn't look like he has the fluidity to be trying something like that. And as expected, he was not close with it. Detroit goes the other way in transition, gets another basket, so it's an 8-point game. Um, Pretty quickly goes from 14 to 8 points because the Raptors had a series of sloppy possessions. Markquis finds Ron Harper in the corner, gets the ball back to Markquis. Oh, come on. Marquise missed at the rim. McCormack got the rebound. He just did nothing with it. He pump faked to get a bunch of guys jumping. And then he almost jumped and got up and down. And then he shot it. He looked like off balance and missed the shot. But yeah, Detroit goes the other way, and I think they got a foul called. So Detroit will shoot free throws after this commercial break. Could be a 6-point game. Raptors probably going to make it a closer game than I'd be comfortable with. Looking back at our predictions, Rio predicted a 5-point win. I predicted a 9-point win. Maximum return strategy, extend Siakam for 4 years, trade OG. Oh, hold on, let me pull this up. Maximum return strategy, extend Siakam for 4 years, trade OG now for 2 picks and 3 young guys, then flip Siakams for a king's ransom at the trade deadline or next summer. Yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot. I agree with the approach of extending Siakam and trading him later in regards to just like asset management. I take this away because it's kind of covering me. But yeah, you guys can look in the chat for that comment. If you guys are interested in what he said. But yeah, I agree with the approach of extending Siakam and trading him later as opposed to trading him for like a deflated value now, because his value is a little bit deflated given that he's got a year left and he can kind of dictate to teams where he wants to go because he can tell the teams that are willing to trade for him, hey, I'm either going to extend there or I'm not, or I want to extend there or I don't. And that dictates, his value a little bit, that lessens his value. So we can extend him and trade him later, probably for more than we could trade him now. And if that's the case, that's exactly the route that I would go. With regards to trading OG, very dependent on the offer. If that is there where we can get 2 quality picks and 3 quality young guys, sure, why not? I would do that. But I don't know exactly what the offers are on the table. But I agree about, the idea of just, no emotions with this game. You got to make the most of the situation you're in. If Siakam would extend now and playing games, then trade Siakam now and that's for Ben Simmons and 5 picks. Ben Simmons and 5 picks. See, I don't know if Brooklyn would ever even put that on the table. If they ever would, who knows? But like Ben Simmons and 5 picks for Siakam, that'd be a crazy trade. Like I said, I don't even know if they would put that on the table. So Detroit makes a free throw. It's a 10-0 run in the last 2 minutes. So the Raptors once had a 17-point lead, now have a 7-point lead. Their bench unit is blowing it. Just as I say that, Morso gets a basket and they call the and one, so he has a chance to restore the double digit lead. OG is gone, so you trade OG this summer with Siakam extended. Yeah, I think the thing with OG is I kind of do think OG is probably gonna not resign if we don't trade Siakam. It's one of those things where I think you have to pick between Siakam and OG. I think if we don't give OG the platform to be a primary scorer, then he's out of here. Um, and that'll happen by keeping Siakam. Whereas if we get rid of Siakam, um, then we give OG the platform to get what he wants, and then maybe he stays. So the Raptors missed the free throw, so it's still a 9-point game. 145 left. Pistons waste their possession. Nembhard in transition takes his man on, and I think he drew the foul. Honestly, that didn't look so bad from Detroit in terms of defense, but they got a foul called on them. Raptors to the free throw line. Nembhard shooting free throws. I don't know if I've seen him shoot free throws before, but he made that first one look easy. So hopefully he makes the second one and restores an 11-point lead. Geo, though, I have a question. What do you think is a acceptable trade value for Siakam if we trade him now and don't extend him? Like, what do you think is good value where if you get that on the table, you take it? I'm just curious. Detroit gives us the ball back. Gradey with a little like sky hook. He was driving and he was maybe a couple feet to the right of the basket and he did a little hook shot and he finished it. So Gradey restoring a 12-point lead. I think he's easily in the 20s. Jeff Doughton on the bench. He's not playing. Yeah, he's got an injury. More so tried to find McCormack under the basket. He wasn't there for the pass. And then the Pistons go ahead and turn the ball over as well. But yeah, Gradey is again, that's an interesting, unique finish. I did not know he had it like that. And yeah, that look itself was created off the back of him running tirelessly off the ball. That's the kind of player you get from with Gradey. And yeah, it's been a great game from him so far today. Oh, Gradey opens up a open shot for Obanor and he misses. But Gradey did well there at the 3-point line. Um, Basically committing a defender to him so that I think it was RJ at the top of the 3-point line was open, who then committed another defender that opened up Obanor, who just couldn't make the three. Raptors foul a Piston with 2.9 to go. That's a bad foul there because he was willing to take a step back contested jumper at the end of the quarter. Should have just let him have it. We fouled him, and now he's going to the free throw line. I think they're calling a timeout or they're reviewing something. I'm not sure. But yeah, Detroit will likely cut this lead into single digits before the end of the third quarter. Yeah, they're going to commercial, and it looks like they're reviewing something. I don't know what they're reviewing. I don't know if this is the new rule thing that I saw earlier, where a guy fouling Gradey by getting in his space. Um, that gave the Raptors 3 free throws and the ball. I don't know if it's that kind of review because it's a similar foul, but yeah, we'll see. If that's the case, the Pistons actually have a chance to cut the lead to 5, which would be crazy, but could happen. From Hawks, I would ask for Hunter, Okongwu, and one of Griffin or Buffkin and the Sacramento 2024 pick. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Gio says, sorry, the internet crashed. No problem, bro. From Hawks, I'd ask Hunter, Okongwu, and one of Griffin or Buffkin. Huh. Okay, I'm kind of on board with you. I'm on board with you there. I I was looking at it like I was thinking about it earlier, and I was like, I would want Griffin, Buffkin, the pick. I didn't really. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Okongwu to say whether like I love him or not. I haven't particularly been impressed with what he's done so far in the league, but um, yeah, we can get two of their good prospects a pick, and then obviously somebody to make the salary work that's good, not just like a random bad contract to take back. Then like that's seemingly fair value. Buddy Hield, Andrew Nemhard, Tice, Ben Shepherd, and 2 unprotected picks. Jeez, I don't even know who Ben Shepherd is. Sorry, I'll put that on the screen so that everybody can see it. Um, yeah, man, Nemhard's the one. Obviously, I'd love Ben Matherin, but that seems like it's not realistic. But yeah, so by the way, they did that in the game. They gave the Pistons 2 free throws and the ball. He only made one, so it's a 9-point game with 3.5 seconds to go. But yeah, Andrew Nemhard is probably the guy I would want from that team if you can't get Ben Matherin. He says if Jarris Walker is there, then one unprotected pick. Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. I think so far what you've presented in terms of fair value is fair value from our standpoint. I think you'd probably look at Indy and they would say, hey, if we can't get assurances over Pascal signing an extension with us, then that's really unfair value from our standpoint, to which I could understand. But from our standpoint, yeah, everything that Gio has said feels fair. Osair deep three. Oh my God. He just made a deep three at the buzzer, cuts the lead to 6. So that foul was a big foul. It was a pretty big swing in the game, made it a 6-point lead. This summer league commentators are so biased against the Canadian team. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, we kind of get that treatment generally, but obviously I have the audio off, so I don't know exactly what they've said. If you can give me some examples just out of curiosity. Extend Siakam, that simple. Uh I don't think I've seen your name in the chat before, so I mean, new participator in the chat. Thank you for being here. But yeah, just out of curiosity, what's your like general thoughts as a whole on the Siakam situation in terms of um what do you want us to do with the roster with Siakam extended? You've made it pretty clear. Extend, extend, extend Siakam. So what do you think we should do with the rest of the roster? Because I'm not entirely against the idea of having Siakam long term. I want him extended because I don't know if we're gonna get fair value if we trade him without an extension. That's my biggest concern. I think teams have a I think teams are justified with lowballing him um, because he only has a year left on his deal. So, with that being the case, that's not the right way to go at all. We need to extend him. It seems like the Raptors are playing games in terms of how much he deserves and what he should be extended for. I think he's a max player, so he should get the max extension. But yeah, feel free to let me know what you guys think. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you press the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. These are two kinds of engagement that really help with YouTube's algorithm. Those are something that YouTube looks for to decide what content to push to its wider audience. So you guys smash the like button, you guys subscribe to the channel. That helps the channel grow, and that helps me be in a position where I can do more and more content. Scotty Barnes showing no signs he's ready to take over anything. Yeah, I agree. That's true. You can't look at what he's done last a year and see a team, a player that's ready to be a number one option on an NBA team. How about giving him a team you've never built around him? I'm assuming you're talking about giving Siakam a team and having never built around him. Yeah, that's fair to say. Um, I think to build around him, when I think about the kind of talent that would make Siakam the best version of himself, we would need to, I think, move quite a bit. Because I think we need a little bit more in the way of shooting to bring out the best of Siakam. So you draft a player, you build them up to be an All NBA player to get rid of them. Uh, the thing with that is that I think my biggest concern with where they're looking at is that if they're looking at the fact that they should trade him because they don't think he's worth the max extension, I think that's ludicrous. If you want to trade him, I think the justified reason to trade Siakam is because it makes you better in the future. Because ultimately, the team's not really going anywhere in the moment in terms of like really being a contender. We have a chance to really be a contender at some point in the future. So if we have an opportunity to really make ourselves better for that standpoint, for that timeline, then we should. But if we don't, and this offer that we get is like subpar, there's no point. And if we're trading him for financial reasons, I think it's absurd. I think it's really, really bad. 100% he deserves the max. Anybody you bring here, you're going to have to sign the max. Players deserve market value. OG is not worth the max. OG is definitely not worth the max. Definitely. Then I tell Siakam to extend and just trade him at the deadline or next summer for King's ransom, make the same team sweat it out in a bidding war. Yeah, that's the thing. Trading Siakam, it's the most opportune time to do it is not when he has a year left on his deal. It's when he has a series of like when he has a bunch of years left on his deal and you're really handing the other team a great player for a long time. And when that happens, you can demand, like he's saying, a King's ransom. You can demand a high level of compensation that sets you up nicely for the future. Not to say that they're the same player or this is remotely the same situation, but look at the way the Paul George trade has set up OKC for the future, right? Of course, you have Paul George, you have a player that was in the MVP race for one of the years he was in OKC. Whether you consider him an MVP caliber talent or not, it's up to you. But he was in the MVP race at that point, and they traded him for a king's ransom. And now they're in a really good position as a franchise. If you can do something like that with Pascal Siakam, obviously it would be to a lesser degree. But if you could, then that's what you do because that's actually gaining value. Like this is the key thing to remember is that we need to manage our assets well. We're not in a position as a team where we have so much talent that it doesn't matter. We need to manage our assets well. If we can turn Pascal Siakam, the asset, into greater level of assets, we do that. And really, to get that, you have to find a team that's kind of desperate to win now and take advantage of that desperation. So I don't think that situation presents itself right now. So you have to extend and hope that situation presents itself in the future. So being caught up in that, I kind of turned my attention away from the game. I see that in the 2 minutes that I wasn't watching, it's still a 10-point game. Or not still a 10-point game. It was a 6-point game at the end of the third. So we extended the lead a little bit. Detroit just made a shot to make it an 8-point game. 7:40 to go, people. Who was that? That's Nemhard going around a screen. I think they called it an illegal screen. Or not. They called something on Detroit. So Raptors are subbing on some of their better players. He has no value right now, I mean. Yeah, no, I agree. His value is very low right now. Very low right now, especially when he's telling other teams, "Hey, I don't know if I want to sign an extension for you." So here's the thing, right? In the name of all this, I'm trying to get a Hawks fan on the channel to talk about basically how the Hawks view Siakam in their estimation, and then how they view their players and what players that they think it would be good to trade. And that helps us get a more informed perspective of how other teams are looking at our situation. and their players, which will help kind of give us a more balanced look at things because ultimately we're speaking of things from one perspective. Geo says the timeline says Siakam is the odd man out. So the timeline would say that, but then we do random shit like trade for Jakob Pertl and then try to pay Fred VanVleet. And we do stuff that kind of takes away like a clear um like a clear timeline. Like oddly enough, Fred VanVleet leaving gives us a better indication of a timeline, but that's not because of our doing. The Pistons just made a three to cut the lead to three. Yikes. Yikes, yeah, because you have a guy who's not trying to leave to him, so he's trying to set it up so he stays with the team. You have to respect that. I agree. I agree. I think it's ludicrous that basically this is the guy who wants to stay, and we're pushing him out of the door, like allegedly because of money reasons. Like I said, you push him out the door if it makes you better. You push him out the door the way OKC pushed Paul George out the door because it made them better. If we don't have a trade situation that makes us better, and again, I'm talking about makes us better as a whole, as in we got assets. Um, what timeline is this? Who made this timeline? Any team needs a variety of timelines. Out of curiosity, what exactly do you mean by any team needs a variety of timeline? But in terms of who makes the timeline is more just like your opinion of when you think a team's contention window is, and I mean championship contention window. So you look at a team, you look at their players, you look at basically where a player is in their career. You do that for the whole team, and then you make an assessment of when is this team like primed to be a championship contending team. um so the thing about variety of timelines, the part that like the reason I asked you, because I'm a little bit confused, is that like you can tell yourself that there's variety of timelines, but if you don't actually have a team that's stacked enough to where, yeah, you have different contending windows. So, yeah, you have players in their prime who are like 27, 28, 29 who are ready to win now. So you're a championship caliber team right now. And then also, um, you have players that are like 22, 23, 24 who are also elite level, who also have elite level potential. So then you have a timeline for them where you could be a championship contender. What I'd say about the Raptors is that we don't have enough talent to be a championship level team right now. We don't even have enough talent, you could say, on the team right now to clearly say, oh, in 4 years we do have the potential to be a championship team. But we have, like, obviously we have some basic players who have a high level of potential that we could add to have a window of championship contention at some point in the future. It's our fans. First it was Fred, now it's Pascal, next it will be Scotty. Fans have a very low basketball IQ. I mean, any winning team, do you need a variety of ages? Oh, a variety of ages, yes, 100%. So I agree with that because I think you need older players that are there to like basically um be your people who have NBA experience, who can like partake that wisdom on people, and on younger players, not people. But basically, yeah, you have your older figures on the team that can be players who are on the court in the battle, who can impart wisdom on younger players who don't have that experience. Um, I know what timeline means. Yeah, I'm not a dumbass. I don't know what time is. Bro, I just said what I said because it said what timeline is this, and yeah, my bad. I mean, I wasn't trying to say you're a dumbass or anything. It's not like that. But if you what you mean is that players need teams need a variety of ages, I agree. Even if you're building a young team, let's say we're trying to stack up talent in the age range of uh Gradey and Scotty Barnes, you can't just have a team full of 20, 21, 23, 24 year olds. You still need older players as well. I think a pretty good example of a team that where there's no adults in the room is a team like the Grizzlies or a team like the Hornets. And those are teams that play, I think, a pretty bad brand of basketball. Like, I think the Hornets play awful basketball partly because their younger players run the show out there. Look at our 2019 variety of timelines, young players. See, but here's the thing. Like I wouldn't say that the 2019 team had a variety of timelines. The timeline was clear. It was now. It was winning now. I don't think the young players on that team dictated that, hey, these young players are also players that could like carry you to a championship down the road. Like I think that's where the key difference in like just usage of the word is because I don't think the 29 team had a variety of timelines, they had a variety of ages. But yeah, if we do decide to go young, it doesn't mean that we just have a team full of 22-year-olds. That's a terrible idea. For the basketball product, for the development of your young players, like one of the things that I appreciate the most about the Raptors' approach to developing young talent is that basically we try to develop the young talent while trying to play smart basketball and try to play winning basketball. Now you might not succeed in doing those things, but at least attempting it has value in and of itself because I think when young talent develops into or when young talent develops in the context of teams that are just playing bad basketball and doing nothing, uh that they develop bad habits, they develop um like a style of play that's not conducive to winning basketball, and then late 20s they start to try to play, you know, good smart basketball, and that's just something that they don't have enough experience for. Bro, it's a joke. Relax. My bad. I'm not exactly sure exactly what you're referring to, but yeah. um yeah, we're always going to need like a batch of veterans on the team that are good enough to hold it down for the team, that are good enough to play, that are good enough to earn the respect of younger players. Like I do not want a team that's run by Scotty Barnes and Gradey. Passes the ball for a wide open shot, misses, PTSD from the Raps main squad. This is real. This is real. I've kind of like my eyes been more on the chat as opposed to the game. But yeah, this is a real thing that's happened in the summer league this year. There's so much Raptors PTSD. Like our shooters that keep missing shots, it hits the same way it did in the regular season. And it's even worse in this because we have Markquis Nowell creating looks for all these these players at the 3-point line and they keep missing. And it's almost like if Markquis Nowell was less of a creator, then he could actually like some of these shooters would get away with it more, but they keep missing. And it's like with Siakam at certain points last year, he's creating all these looks for these shooters on the court. Shooters, I say, but just people on the perimeter, and they're missing these shots. It's almost like if Siakam created at a lesser rate, they wouldn't stand out as much, but they do because shots are getting created. I have a feeling getting rid of Fred and Nick will open this team up. Everybody is so quick to change. Patience to see what you have. So I agree that change, patience, see what we have. I think people, the thing is change is like a blanket for people, right? Like it helps people, you know, makes people feel cozy when things are going bad. Um, Sometimes change for the sake of change is a really bad thing, right? Change should always make sense. You don't just like throw a tantrum and throw your toys to the side because you know you don't like your toys anymore. You need to make the best decisions about how to move forward. You should make change because it makes you better in some way, shape, or form, right? You don't just get rid of people because you think that uh they're so bad that they just have to go, because usually that's not the case, that a player or a coach is so bad that they have to go. You still have to get rid of players at the right time in the right way. You have to get the most out of the guys you have, especially for a team like us where I don't think we have the best team in the world when it comes to like assets. We don't have a lot of like trade assets that I think put us in a position where if a superstar is on the market, we have enough value to get the trade done. So we need to get more assets, and you need to make the right decisions that with your players in terms of making trades. Siakam occupies the same space as Scotty Barnes does the same stuff. Why Siakam has to go now or extend and next summer? Um, in terms of so here's the thing, right? I understand when people talk about the tension between Scotty and Siakam on the basketball court in terms of their roles having a lot of overlap. But I do think that Scotty has to show a little bit more before you can say, okay, it's time to pass the torch, right? Because if we just put Scotty in the same positions that Pascal has been in, then to be honest, like I think it could be really, really bad. I think we could be a 30-win team or like in that range because Scotty just doesn't have the polish um that Siakam has. Siakam, I think this is a guy who's taken a jump in 2 back-to-back seasons. I think Siakam was playing really good at certain times. So I think if we go right into Scotty, we're not in a good place. Put on the roster, there was Fred, Pascal, OG, Chris Boucher, different timelines. You don't just need to go with 30 on those timelines, mean nothing. There was Fred, Pascal, OG, Boucher. The roster, different timelines. So I mean, yeah, but of course, like I don't know, just for me, like to say that of course you need different ages is not the same as having different timelines. I think those two terms mean different things. Masai needs to go full ruthless mode, extend Siakam, trade OG, then trade Siakam, Jakob Poeltl, the deadline for 2 picks, then trade Siakam this summer, do a full rebuild around Barnes. Again, I think deciding premeditated moves without knowing the context of the trade market at the time isn't also the best idea. Like just charting out, I'm trading this player next summer, I'm trading this player at the deadline, I'm trading this. That all needs to be pending the circumstances at the time. If come the trade deadline, there's a great offer for Siakam, then yeah, you trade him. And maybe you turn down offers that aren't great offers, and then in the summer you still don't get a great offer. But at the end of the day, maybe in the summer, Siakam trade value is different. The point being, you have to always assess the market, assess good value, and get good value when it's there, not just force guys out the door because we need to transition. Scotty and Siakam do not play the same position. Who better for him to learn from guys in the gym constantly? True professional loves Toronto defense. You can't have Scotty and Siakam. That's your reasoning for getting rid of Siakam. How dumb is that? Your reasoning for getting rid of Siakam is because Scotty and Siakam are the same team. But yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that a lot of people talk about Scotty and that, like, if you get rid of Siakam and just give Scotty the free reign to operate in that role, that he'll be a lot better. And I think that it's a dangerous game with that because maybe, but maybe not. And if maybe not, that's a pretty dark timeline for us. So, like I said, I think in a way, we saw before having Jakob Poeltl that there was actually a way for Scotty and Siakam to exist on the court at the same time where one guy was in the dunker spot, one guy was the ball handler. And I think that actually didn't work too bad. But the point is that means you want players aside from them who are more like perimeter oriented players. And then when you put that lineup of 5 guys on the court, there's a whole bunch of other deficiencies. So I think the bigger thing with Scotty and Siakam is just Scotty has to get better. The market has to line up for Siakam. And frankly, before any of this happens, I think we need to see how everybody looks in Darko's system, because I think Darko's system will have a lot more set plays and thought through actions and just like more of a plan and more coordination to what's going on the court. I think Nick Nurse's offense was more just about players kind of making decisions for themselves. And I don't think we're a good enough team to make that happen. Well, Moses Brown just had a big block, by the way. I'm tuning back more into the game. We're only up 3. It could have been a 1-point lead, but Moses Brown had a hell of a block. But yeah, I think that Nick Nurse's way of doing offense wasn't good for our players. I think there's a chance that our players are more effective offensively with more like instruction and more of a thought through offense. Getting rid of Siakam is because Scotty and Siakam occupy same space and it's bad spacing. You are looking at being capped out with 3 max players and no rest of the team barely playing in teams. They got to trade players or blow it up and rebuild around Scotty Barnes. Siakam likely won't buy and letting Scotty Barnes take the lead. I mean, he won't, but also I think I don't think there's a need to let Scotty Barnes take the lead. I think basically if he gets to a position where he earns it, then he gets it, right? Like he earns the lead, he takes the lead, as opposed to like it shouldn't just be given to him, right? He should be playing to a level where it's like, look, you've earned this space in the offense. And like this kind of goes back to me talking about how like I think developing young talent in the context of trying to play winning basketball is good for development of young talent, where players to a certain degree should have every opportunity to earn things, but then they should have to earn things to get to get them. And by that, I mean like roles within the team. So I think Scotty should be given the opportunity to be the guy when he kind of earns it. If in the meantime he has Siakam there to learn from, I don't think that's the worst thing. And I don't necessarily think that like Siakam is somebody who's actively hurting Scotty Barnes. The reality is, if we trade Siakam, right, to your spacing point, there's a pretty good chance that a player that we get in return from Siakam uh, isn't a floor spacer, right? Like they might be, but like if we get DeAndre Hunter, no, sorry, if we get DeJounte Murray for Siakam, DeJounte Murray's not going to be spacing the floor either, right? And then you kind of run into the same issue. So yeah, I think there's different ways of looking at these things, but I do think that like again, my overarching view is always that you maximize every single little situation you encounter as a franchise. So when you have the opportunity to trade somebody to make you better, you do. But if the opportunity doesn't arise to make a trade that makes you better, then you don't. And you always actively monitor these things and make the decisions in the moment as per how the context of that moment looks. Back to the game, the Raptors are up 5 with 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go. Raptors have a chance to make it a 7-point game. They turn the ball over. Pistons in transition. Gradey with the shot contest, but I think that's a goaltend. Is that? Yeah, they called it a goaltend. Did they call it a foul as well? Yes, they called it a foul and a goaltend. So the Pistons have a chance to make it a 2-point game. Gradey was definitely late on that shot contest. So that's definitely a goaltend. Oh man, we're gonna get a stressful finish by the look of it. You know how the Raptors do it with these finishes. They always make it complicated. Yep, it's a 2-point game now. 87-85. I think we're past Rio's prediction now, though. That's not possible anymore. Yeah, it's not possible to. I think Rio predicted the final score in the 80s. Big up, Ahmed. Shout out to you. Everybody who's in here who likes football at all, like European football, soccer. Make sure you check out his channel, The Bridge 258. He's a content creator friend of mine. Does good work. Shout out to Ahmed. Tie game. Gradey for 3. Misses the shot. 87-87. Minute 15 to go. Getting capped out puts the franchise in a bad spot for a decade. Better to do the full rebuild than be capped out with no flexibility. So yeah, we do at every point have to be aware of the salary cap and what position we put ourselves in. Markquis Nowell fouled. I think that's 3 free throws. Minute to go. This is Detroit's first lead. They got a 2-point lead. First lead since 31-30. But yeah, so like I'll be doing a lot of salary cap content because like I love looking at the salary cap, right? In terms of being capped out, obviously paying Pascal contributes highly to being capped out. It is going to be a pretty big salary on the books, but there's always ways to navigate around these. But the bigger thing is like somebody has to get traded, right? We could keep Pascal and trade, I don't know, OG and somebody else, right? We could always navigate it depending on who we want to pay, but the point is like somebody has to go and in exchange we have to get young cheap talent because yeah, we're not in a situation where we can pay everybody. I have a video. It's 3 videos from before free agency, so from before June 30th, where I talk about the financial situations for the Raptors aside, like from different angles. So from a free agency angle, from a trade angle, and just generally talking about the cap situation we're in going forward. Bueno Kitty says, so with the new cap upcoming, what's a fair contract looking like for GTJ? What's OG's extension looking like? I'll tell you this. Bueno Kitty. God knows about the GTJ extension. Oh, Gradey, that's bad. That's huge. We got the defensive stop. We had a 1-point lead, and then Gradey just turned the ball over in his own backcourt, on his own side of the court, to just give the Pistons the 1-point lead at the end of the game. Um, but yeah, so GTJ is probably going to get around 20 million a year, which I guess is fair. OG is probably going to get a little over 30 million a year. But basically, the cap situation we were in, it was a bigger deal when the idea was we are going to pay Fred VanVleet. It's less of a big deal with Fred VanVleet's money off the books. We can generally pay whatever Gary Trent's worth. We can pay whatever OG is worth, and we're probably going to be fine from a cap perspective. We're not like the cap is weird where you if you're up against a luxury tax, you need to get rid of money, but it's not like you need to get rid of a lot. You just have to stay under it. And then once you get under it, there's kind of no incentive to go any further down unless you can go all the way down to where you have cap space, because then you can spend on other teams' free agents. But there's this weird middle ground where you don't have enough money or you don't have any money to spend on other teams' players aside from mid-level exceptions, so basically bench players. But so yeah, you have money to spend, but there's a big gap until the luxury tax. So that's usually a spot where teams like paying their own players, and that's kind of where we're going to be for a while. Um, if we paid everybody, we'd be up against the luxury tax, and we would have to get our money back down. But we exist in a middle ground. The Pistons made 2 free throws. They're up 3. Hopefully, we force overtime, right, guys? So exciting! Summer League overtime. But yeah, that was a really bad play from Gradey. You cannot turn the ball over there in that big of a moment. End of the game, up 1. Obviously, his eyes were down the court. He was looking for stuff on the other side of the court to I guess get a good look to close the game out, and just wasn't quite focused on getting past the guy that was in front of him. Turned the ball over. That's a game losing turnover basically. So yeah, we'll see. Alex Wong says, "You, what up, Alex Wong?" A lot of people in here, guys. Make sure you're pressing the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy the content, that's how you can help it grow. That's how YouTube knows what channels to push out to the wider YouTube audience and what channels not to. So if you like the video, make sure you press the like button and leave comments. If you don't like the content, believe it or not, disliking the video and leaving negative comments does the same to support it. So however you feel, make sure you're engaging with the content. Helps the content grow, helps me do more content. So yeah, I'll be doing a lot more of these during the regular season. Make sure to tap in when when those streams are happening. Raptors down 3, 13 seconds to go. We'll see if they go for the quick 2 and play the foul game, or if they go for 3 and try to tie the game up. This play did not work. Moses Brown gets the ball inbounded to him, kicks to Gradey, open in the corner. Gradey misses the 3. You can tell they drew a play up for him to give him a chance to rebound from the mistake that he made, and he didn't make the 3. Rimmed out a little bit, but hey, hard lesson to learn, but everybody has to learn it. Scotty Barnes learned it the same way. I don't know if you guys remember, but in his rookie year when the Lakers were playing in Toronto, he also he got stripped by Russ, who chucked up a 3 to force overtime, and we lost the game eventually. When you're at these late game situations where you have the ball and you just have to be competent with the ball to close out games, you have to be competent with the ball. And if you don't have that sharpness and attention to detail, you run the risk of these things happening, and the leads being blown. With that happening, we lost the game. So if that has to happen to kind of hit the player over the head and make them learn the hard lesson of how how attention to detail you have to be in these late game situations, then so be it. This is what has to happen. So Raptors lose by 4, 94-90. Tough loss. We had a 17-point lead at a point in the third quarter, I think. Had a 1-point lead with like 10 seconds to go, and frankly just tricked it off. We played pretty sloppy when it mattered the most, and we lost the game. I talked about early in the game how frustrating it is to watch this team. They found a different way to be frustrating today. They started the game really bad, down 11 in the first 3 minutes. And then if No, sorry. And then in the second quarter, they played really well. They got the lead up to like 12 or 13. Then they played well in the third quarter to keep the lead intact. At the end of the third quarter, at the very end, lead got cut to 6, bounced back at the beginning of the fourth, and then played bad again. It was a roller coaster of a game. It was frustrating to watch from a Raptors interest, but it is what it is. So if Pascal extended and OG not traded, what do you think the strategy to space the floor is with the starting five? So I think if this is the case, right, then we're trotting out OG, Scotty, Pascal, Gary, Trent, and Jakob Pertl, right? With that lineup out there, you have two shooters that you trust with Gary and OG. Well, trust is maybe the wrong word, but two shooters that you can expect to shoot the ball. Whether they're making or missing them, they're there to shoot the ball. So those are two players you're going to have at the 3-point line, I think, at the beginning of most actions. Something that Scotty Barnes actually talked about talked about Darko was that he wants to use a lot of high pick and rolls. So with high pick and rolls, if you have Jakob coming out to set again, like to set a screen like at the 3-point line, you have Scotty and Pascal, one of them being the ball handler. That leaves basically one of Scotty and Pascal at the either at the 3-point line or even in like the mid range to offer the ability to do something. And I think in that kind of a situation, you're looking at it like if the high pick and roll works and it puts the defense in a position where somebody's getting a free run at the basket, somebody's defender has to leave to clean that up. And if it's a Gary Trent and OG's defender leaves them, then yeah, you get an open three, right? Great. But if Scotty Pascal, one of the guys, the guy who's off the ball here, if they get the look ball wherever they get the ball, I think the hope is that they're good enough basketball players that they can do a variety of things. So they can use that space to either make a secondary pass, right? Because they're supposed to be, well, Pascal's grown into a good passer and Scotty's supposed to be a good passer. So ball gets to them in space. They're supposed to be in a spot where they can survey the court, uh, make a cut to the basket and potentially open something up, or um, in the kind of scramble mode that the defense is in around the people who are in the pick and roll, something opens up there, or even just the fact that like they're improved shooters enough to where if they are open as shooters, they can make the shot regardless, right? Obviously, like if you look at it like Scotty and Pascal, the person that's not involved in the pick and roll is the shooter, and they're just having to shoot threes constantly. That's not a great situation, right? So if purely just from that way of looking at spacing, then yeah, it's not particularly good. But I just look at it like it's not like awful either. It's not like a hopeless situation to be in. A part of what was really bad for us last year, I think, was the fact that our shooters weren't shooting well. I think that was why it was so bad. OG, his shooting was up and down. Gary Trent Jr.'s shooting was bad. Fred's shooting was bad. Otto Porter was not there, right? I think that was a good chunk of why the spacing was so hopeless last year was not just that not enough shooters, it was the shooters you do have very, very low level of performance from them. Oh, and by the way, in Schroeder's intro, he was talking like he was the starter. At least that's what he inferred with his convo with Darko. I missed that, by the way, so I'm not entirely sure. And Raps Love says she never said once he was the starter. Dennis never said once he was the starter. That's your own opinion. So yeah, again, I haven't seen the clip, so I'm not sure. I don't think he's a starter because he's not getting paid starter money. We have better shooters than how they played last year. I agree. But like at the end of the day, we have to hope they actually make the shots at the rate that they can. Yeah, high pick and roll works for Pascal and Scotty only if we can get the open corner threes to punch the other teams. I agree. I think, and like I think what you just said and what Raps Love has said and what I've said earlier is like it all boils down to the fact that we need the shooters to make shots. OG is supposed to be a good shooter. He needs to make shots at specifically a good corner three shooter, but just generally a good enough 3-point shooter. He needs to make shots at the rate that we know he can. Gary Trent Jr. has to make shots at the rate that we know he can. Gradey has to do the same. Otto Porter Jr., if he's on a basketball court, hopefully he can play more than 7 games. If he's on the court, he's got to make threes at the rate that we know he can. Dennis isn't like an awesome shooter, but he's average. He needs to make shots at an average rate, whatever you are. Like Pascal is an average 3 point shooter. I think you need to make threes at an average rate. That's what we need from these guys. He's known to be an outstanding six man. That's what he does. Come off the bench and light it up. Kenneth Lou says Dick is not a so good shooter after all. Are you making that judgment off of summer league? Because I don't know. I just think it's like it's not enough of a sample size to make big conclusions. But also, I think he's we haven't really seen him in take a lot of like wide open, set your feet, like um catch and shoot threes that we know I think he'll get more of in the regular season when he's not the best player on the court. So far in summer league, he's having to take a higher degree of difficulty threes because he is the best player on the court for us, or the second best player, depending on how you look at Markquis. But he is our best player, so he's not finding situations where teams are leaving him and he's getting open easy threes. He's not getting them at a high rate like he could on the Raptors when teams are having to focus on other players. So I think we'll see. We'll get a better gauge of things as time goes on. Listen, last year this team lost and underperformed. Of course, people are going to be upset, but it happens. I agree. You're not going to be amazing every year. We've been very lucky as Raptors fans, but it doesn't mean you give up on your whole team. Buddy, Gradey is a great shooter, but with every shooter in the world, it goes in a lot or you missed a lot. That's just how it goes. Everybody. Yeah, volume shooters, I mean, like great volume shooters still shoot like what, 38, 39%, which isn't remotely close to making them at a high uh like at a high rate in terms of, they're making every shot. No, great shooters still gonna miss like six tens out of three, or sorry, six threes out of 10 of them. So yeah. Once he starts shooting volume, it'll show his efficiency. Give it time. I agree. I think, again, like I'm just curious as to exactly what Kenneth was looking at to say that he's not so good of a shooter. Because I think if you're just looking at summer league stats, it's not a big enough sample size. It's not a good enough sample size. I think I've seen enough in terms of the degree of difficulty on some of the shots I've seen him make, the like situations of some of the shots, because I've seen him make threes like right after a mistake. I think he's a good shooter. I've seen him shoot some quick release threes. I think he has a release that's quicker than a lot of our other players. So yeah, I think from a fundamental standpoint, he's a 20-year-old player who I think is solid. Um, to go back to this, you're not going to be amazing every year. We've been very lucky as Raptors fans, but it doesn't mean you give up on your whole team. I think this is something that's going to be tested again this year, by the way. I don't think we're shaping up to be a good team. I think we're shaping up to be like similar to last year, but I think it'll put us in a different situation where you're a year further into people's careers, you're a year further into their development. You'll see how they develop and you'll get a better picture of what you need going forward. But I don't think we're going to be particularly good next year, and I think a lot of people's will is going to be tested. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it, despite the fact that I don't think it's going to go all that well. Um, I want to learn more about these players, man. I want to learn more about Scotty Barnes. I want to learn more about Gary Trent. I want to learn more about even a guy like Christian Koloko, Precious Achua. I want to learn more about these players. I want to see what I can expect from them long term. And I want to get a better idea of what we have and consequently what we don't have in terms of building a championship team. I'm telling you, Raptors fans have very low basketball IQ. They live in a dream world. I think fans as a whole have pretty low basketball IQ. I don't think there's like a lot of fan bases that you look at and say, oh, they know ball. I think with Raptors fans, what you have is like, frankly, I think Raptors fans have a pretty big inferiority complex as far as the fact that obviously the Raptors get a lot of like stick when it comes to things like nationally televised games and things like that, right? And just generally how they get treated by free agents and like the basketball community as a whole kind of like shoves Toronto to the side. So the Raptors have this like, or Raptors fans have this like chip on their shoulder and like this desire to like prove everybody wrong, right? And that's awesome. But like when you have that chip on your shoulder and then you have it almost like you have success in that regard for so long, you have playoff run after playoff run after playoff run, and it ends in a chip, you almost like are at a point where you've been spoiled for something that you're really emotionally like attached to and really emotionally driven by, and then it goes wrong, and now you're kind of in an emotional mess, right? You wanted to prove these people wrong, you wanted to like prove the basketball community wrong for so long, and it feels like you did for a little bit, and that just like you're so emotionally attached to everything that's going on there, and then eventually things go wrong, and now it feels like your world came crashing down. I just think at the end of the day, like, these are the ups and downs of sports in this kind of a system. When you play in a salary cap league with a draft, this is a product of that system. Ups and downs are actively created by the system, right? This isn't by chance. Sustained success is not something that's supposed to happen in the system. If you do, it's because you're excellent. And we had a run of excellence, you could say, right? If you look at Masai's first year to the championship run, if you look at our placing in the league in terms of regular season wins, playoff wins, and championships, the Warriors are the only team that were head and shoulders above us. We were a top tier franchise. That was an amazing run to have, but unfortunately we couldn't sustain that level of success. We made a championship push where we pushed a lot of our assets to the middle of the table. It was a bit of an all-in move to get Kawhi and to get Marc Gasol. That all-in move panned out. We're at a weird place as a franchise where we had to undergo a rebuild, but we tried not to. We actively tried to win basketball games at every turn, and that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to develop talent and win games at a high level at the same time. But we tried. We had, I think, some successful examples of it working, and then we had some unsuccessful examples. So I think all things considered, um, we're doing a lot of learning last year, and I think next year a lot of lessons will be learned when it comes to the Raptors, when it comes to Masai. I think we'll be positioned to get a better idea of what our next 4 or 5 years after that should look like based on what happens next year, and we'll have to see what happens. Uh, so why do they want to chase the star player out of time? Because national media is telling them that. Here's the thing: I'm not actually that tapped into like what the average Raptors fan says. So I don't know if fans want to uh, chase Siakam out. I personally don't know many fans that want him gone for any reason. I think uh, I think if they want him gone again, like again, I don't know. I don't know those people. Like, just to be completely honest, in terms of why they want him out, bro, I think they want the idea of, if we trade Pascal, maybe we can have Scotty and then another like elite young player, and then we have the thing that we think could give us that next championship, right? Because I don't think anybody looks at this basketball team and sees the next championship, like can visualize what the next team looks like. But in theory, right? Let's say we traded Pascal for Scoot Henderson and we had Scoot and Scotty. I think fans would look at it like, oh, Scoot and Scotty, we have two guys. We have a one and a two. That's our championship. Like, that's it. That's what where our next championship is going to come from. We have to now build around that. And like the idea of closeness to like conceptually feeling close to the idea of a realistic like championship framework, I think makes people feel good. So that's just really what I see. Um, how badly damaged really is Pascal's trade value ever since he said he wouldn't sign an extension with other teams? Um, said he wouldn't sign with other teams. Of all teams in the league, which one do you think would be best fit for Pascal? I'll be real. Funny enough, I think Portland would have been awesome for Pascal on the basketball court because of how much you can depend on Dame to score, and how much Pascal can provide off the ball beside Dame as well as the scoring. I think Portland would have been awesome for Pascal. I think there's probably non-basketball reasons for why he doesn't want to be there long term. Um, but yeah, so how badly damaged really is Pascal's trade value? The thing is you have to look at it from a team saying, okay, especially from the Pacers, right? The Pacers have a lot of cap space next year. So they can spend on a free agent. They can probably, I think they're pretty well within reach of handing a max contract to a player in the offseason next year. So they can look at it like, hey, we, in theory, could just sign this guy next year in the offseason. So why should we trade a lot for him? And just generally, um, a team can always work out a deal from him next year. To get him now, that's the value you're getting. You're getting Siakam a year earlier than you could otherwise. So a team's gonna argue that well, one, the value's not that high because we're only getting one secured year. And two, a team could also argue we might only be getting 1 year because he doesn't want to sign here long term. So if we're trading for 82 plus playoff games of Pascal, that's not a particular high, value. So yeah, the trade value isn't high. That's why I don't understand why they're so persistent on dragging this out so long. Would have handed him an extension already. Hey, we get some support in here from Rio, from Bueno. I appreciate both you guys. Like they're saying, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. These are how channels get bigger. I'd love to give you guys as much content as I can possibly give you guys, but I'm just doing this channel for free, just for the love of the game right now. The more engagement this channel gets, the further it gets pushed to the wider YouTube audience. The bigger the channel gets, the more content I can give you guys. So if you like the content, make sure you're pressing the like button. Make sure you're leaving comments. Make sure you're sub to the channel. The fan base needs to relax and see what we have. Nobody knows. Oh, this is a fact. Here's the thing, right? The fan base as is. There's a guy named Aiden who comes on this channel during the streams, and he said, I think when I told him I was doing a stream yesterday, he was like, "Hey, tell them to touch grass." Basically, just saying like people are on social media are going crazy, and just generally like the Raptors fan base, they get worked up pretty easily from what I've seen. Again, I'm not tapped in with them right now to see where they're at with Siakam, but I know that like Fred VanVleet made these people go crazy. A lot of games last year made these people go crazy. People just in this fan base just go crazy pretty easily, and like whatever they are, what they are. But like I said, I'm a little bit more measured about these things. I believe in just like thinking things out, talking things through, and like getting to a point where you understand what you are as a team and what you're not, what you can expect from a team and what you can't, and charting out a good course for the future on how to build a team. 100% what I was thinking. Most teams would wait for Fie at best because I can see a contender getting him as a hired. Oh, this is facts. With the chip run, right? This is kind of what you might have to hope for, is that a team looks at it like we're one Siakam away from a chip. Let's just push for the ring right now. The Toronto Raptors are the best team for Pascal Siakam. Oh yeah, but she asked specifically about other teams. But yeah, people, I've been live for 2.5 hours. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Make sure you're sub to the channel so that you know when I go live for the future. I tend to chop up the live streams when I'm not doing watch alongs, cut them up into smaller segments and post them as videos. So if you guys miss live streams and you don't want to tune into a 1 to 2 hour stream, you can always go back and watch the clips. If you want to watch the whole live stream, you can always go back and watch full live streams. They get posted. But yeah, I go live as often as I can. I'm doing every watch along. Although if the fifth game is on Sunday, I can't do it. I'll do it if it's on Saturday. I go live to talk about a lot of these issues. So a lot of you guys that were here to talk about Siakam, and we're here to talk about the franchise as a whole. I've done a lot of these kind of live streams. On Monday, I did a long live stream to talk about the direction we're going as a franchise, the direction we're going with Siakam, and me and Kenyon were on here talking about how we don't understand the direction with trading Siakam and the bigger plan for the roster. So we do a lot of like more just like topic based streams. So tune into those as well. They're a lot more interactive. I had a game to balance with these interactions. It was a little bit tough, but of course it was good fun. Definitely tune in. I'm going to be doing a lot of interesting videos over the summer. It's not a big time for like obviously Raptors content, but I have some cool concepts. I'm going to try to get creative. Yeah, make sure you guys tap in. Lots of content coming up. I really appreciate the support. A lot of you guys were active in the chat today. It made the stream a little bit easier, and I'll see you guys around.